Now, earlier I promised you that I would run through some food prices, which jumped to 13.3% apparently in December, according to new figures from the British Retailers Consortium. Joining me now to break it all down for you is our economics and business editor, is Liam Halligan with On the Money. Take it away.
And I'm not Christine Jardine.
No.
No, it's close.
That was a shock.
So, GBNews viewers and listeners know every month we have the official inflation numbers from the Office for National Statistics. We haven't got those yet. What we have got are inflation numbers from the British Retailers Consortium, which are kind of preempt the official numbers. They're not, the official record, but they're pretty good because obviously the British Retailers Consortium are a very big organisation. And I can show you the numbers here. What these new BRC numbers show on the graphic is that in November, Patrick, inflation for fresh food was 14.3%. That means in November, a basket of fresh food, a particular basket, would have been 14.3 times more expensive than November 2021, right? If you fast forward to December, we can see that in December that number went up to 15%.
Wow.
That's the highest annual inflation for fresh food that the British Retailers Consortium has ever recorded. That's higher than the general number, what we call the Consumer Price Index. Here it is an official number. In November, the Consumer Price Index, the official inflation number across all goods and services, was 10.7%. We won't get the December CPI number. That comes out on the 18th of January. But just from those numbers, you can see that fresh food is going up much more than regular goods and services. And that's why I often say on GB News, been saying for a long time, as this cost of living squeeze bites, we all focus on the headline inflation number, the CPI number. But for lower income families, those who spend disproportionately on food, on fuel, on rent, on mortgage costs, right? If they're lucky enough to own their own home, all these basics, inflation for those has been much higher than the official 10, 11% inflation number. So when ministers talk about inflation of 10 or 11%, for a lot of people on lower and even middle incomes, that sounds like a sick joke. It sounds a massive underestimate of what's happened to their cost of living over the last year.
Is this going to get better anytime soon?
I mean, Rishi Sunak, you and I and Tom Harwood, we watched Rishi Sunak's speech, and I actually think, rather than setting himself up for failure with these brave pledges, he's guaranteeing success in his own terms. It's almost certain that inflation's going to halve over the next 12 months. It's almost an arithmetic inevitability, unless we have another massive fuel price shock because of some massive geopolitical event, like maybe the OPEC oil exporters cartel getting really nasty or something like that. But then you can just say, oh, who could possibly have foreseen that? Similarly, I think where he says he wants waiting lists to fall, given that waiting lists are at an all-time high, coming off the back of a COVID lockdown where we almost stopped many parts of elective surgery, then, of course, as the backlog falls, waiting lists are going to come down. So I do think inflation will get better. And over the holidays, in my newspaper columns, I wrote that I actually think the peak of interest rates, they're currently 3.5%, is going to be about 4.5%, which is much lower than where the sort of money markets, where people are placing their bets in terms of the wholesale financial markets. So I actually think there is light at the end of the tunnel in terms of inflation coming down and interest rates peaking.
Good stuff, Liam. Thank you very much. Liam Halligan, our economics and business editor.